John Wilner's discussing, among many other things, he's discussing the merits of, should the Pac-12 now stay at 10 or should it seek expansion candidates? That's one question, but kind of tied into it, Tony, is I have not heard a peep. And this really ties into what you're saying about alignment with academics and research. I have not heard a peep about the idea of the Pac-12 strengthening itself, strengthening its hand by making a play for Vanderbilt. What would you say in terms of weighing the Pac-12 staying at 10 versus making an expansion play for Vanderbilt?
I mean, if they would take it, I would say go for it, but I don't think they'd take it in a minute. One of the elements also when you think about these conference alignments is that there's some schools that play a role in the society that they're in. You think about like Northwestern in Chicago and Vanderbilt in national, but Vanderbilt in the South, right? Like, if this is gonna sound, I'm gonna sound super douchey in saying this, but like the goal of like every girl, 1950, if you think back to the 50s, right? Like every girl at Auburn wants to like marry a banker from Vanderbilt. Like it's just Vanderbilt is sort of ingrained in the Southern culture in a very way that it sort of runs that region. I would say a lot like Stanford sort of does in the Bay Area for California. Like Stanford just sort of occupies a role in the society, running the tech companies. I mean, they're all on its campus, that kind of stuff that transcends just football alignment. And so I would think that for Vanderbilt, they need to be mixed in with Alabama and Auburn and Georgia and Tennessee and Kentucky, because like the elite people of their region went to school there. The president of the bank in Alabama went to Vanderbilt, and he probably has a skybox, at the Alabama games, but he may well have gone to Vanderbilt. It's a lot like Stanford in LA. But I mean, it would be great. Like you make a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
But like for for Vanderbilt, they're cashing checks from the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Northwestern. A lot of people don't know when the Ivy League was being forcibly relegated out of Division 1A into 1AA, they went grasping at straws and they were pleading. They really wanted Northwestern. Now at the time, Northwestern was horrid. Northwestern was like worse than UConn has been before Jim Moore. Like Northwestern, I think won like one game in 4 years or something.
Yeah.
And Ivy League pleaded with Northwestern, with Art, and they all said no, because they have that role in their society. And I think that is a big thing that transcends it. It's sort of like, USC in LA. One of the things that I said from the beginning is I said USC would never go alone and we would never go with Oregon. That if USC went, I thought we would need all four. I thought that those four schools in California would all sort of like, you think like some Western standoff of everyone sitting there with like two guns pointed at each other. They never wanted to let each other out of their sights for not just for sports. Sports is on the side for donors, for regular students, for professors, for everything. Those four schools have always sort of been in lockstep, but they have sort of been in lockstep of 2 and 2. And so you did see, the two made the move together. And they weren't going to go. USC would not have gone without and just left the other three sort of unattended, I think, in California to run amok and recruit students. And because again, it's not, they care a lot more about the McCarthy Honors College students, quite honestly, than they care about Caleb Williams. They don't want to say that, but I'll be totally honest with you. They do. Dr. Sample, who USC's president emeritus, who was my favorite professor I ever had, literally at any level, whether USC, Wharton, high school, whatever. Amazing teacher. Told me once, he said, we want people to think of us with Stanford and Yale, not with Alabama and Tennessee. And I think that Dr. Sample would be very proud of this, but I'll tell you, Dr. Sample would have had Cal and Stanford along with us. He would not have let them out of their sights. So knowing Dr. Sample, he'd have brought Yale too.
That leads me to another question, Tony, is that when we talk about various possible realignment scenarios, you have heard surely the discussion about, well, these two schools are a package deal. So if these two schools, they're going to be together, either if they stay or if they go. Like, do you think that in terms of like Duke and North Carolina, like, are they going to be in the same conference no matter what? Florida State, Miami, are they going to be in the same conference no matter what, several years down the line? Or are there various political plot points and tensions which could peel them off in separate directions? Is there any kind of pair that you're looking at this vast national chessboard where you're saying that actually this pair might not be a package deal, or this pair is definitely a package deal? You can pick any one from the several ones that are on the map.
So I think that the money has gotten so big that the difference is that for a school to turn down the offer, I don't think there's anybody who would do it now that USC and UCLA have sort of done it together. I thought that those two USC I thought would not go without somebody, but and I would say like North Carolina would also, like if they were to make a move, would probably want to make a move with somebody. But the thing about Duke is that Duke football is so atrocious and so lowly and so unwanted. And quite honestly, Cal is at this point as well, that they've now created a situation where their partner in crime might go with someone else. For example, now that USC and UCLA are, I would normally say Stanford and Cal would go in lockstep. And Stanford and Cal were in lockstep in the 50s, a little bit rocky, but they were. You think about Duke and Carolina being in lockstep, but now, I mean, if they said to Carolina, do you want in? Duke is not valuable to us. Then, I mean, I think they would be like, okay, we'll take Virginia. We're okay with that. Like, I think they would be okay with that, just because Duke, because the thing about it is especially for the schools that are not big and good at football, you can always schedule somebody in basketball. USC plays Loyola Marymount in basketball. Like, you can play, if you're North Carolina, you can play Duke in basketball twice a year. That's not a problem. That's easy to do. UCLA can play Cal in basketball, not a problem, easy to do. I mean, look, USC's played Notre Dame other than the pandemic year for what, 79 or 90 years or something in a row. So if you want to schedule somebody, it's very doable. But the money is so $60 million. Like, $60 million is not easy to raise unless you're Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
And so the difference of just automatically day one, you have $60 million more than the next person. Like, I don't think anybody really turns that down. Again, now there's some people that like I said, I didn't think that USC would go alone. And I don't think North Carolina would go alone, but they would go with somebody. Like USC, I thought would have gone with Stanford or with UCLA. Again, I thought it would be all four, and I still am not sold that it's not going to end up all. Don't count out sneaky Cal. We all know. Actually, never in life. Don't ever count out sneaky Cal. We've all been to see those football games.